Welcome back. Time now to talk politics. I am joined at our roundtable today by Skip Rutherford, the Dean of the Clinton School of Public Service, and the newly married John Burris, contributor to Talk Business and Politics. Let's see that ring, buddy. Come on.
Boy.
There we go.
Congratulations, John.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thanks.
You had a big fat Greek wedding, didn't you?
I barely lifted my hand there. It's kind of heavy.
All right. First things first. Skip, you still strongly with Hillary Clinton? Yes, no?
For winning or
Yeah.
strongly personally?
Personally.
Personally, yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
You've been in the probably not Trump camp. Are you still in that camp, or have you gravitated somewhere else?
No, I'd say I've drifted even further into that line of thinking, and I still think Hillary wins. But surprising poll numbers last week.
Well, we're going to talk about those. So let's begin there. Skip, national polls, state-by-state polls show this race is tightening up. To some extent, Trump's staying where he's at. Hillary Clinton's coming down a little bit off of a high that she's been there before. Is this race shifting and cementing, or is this race shifting and still has a lot more shifting to go?
This race is shifting and shifting. You're seeing Hillary's bump after the convention come back down. You're also seeing Trump with a new campaign team handling himself better. I still think it's going to be follow the numbers. I think you can look at the states, the demographics, and I think in the end it will be an electoral win for Hillary.
All right. Is it shifting and cementing, or is it shifting and shifting?
I'd say it's shifting and not quite cementing yet. I still think Clinton is the favorite, but for whatever reason, you're going to see some movement here. And we saw it last week with Trump ahead in battleground states like Ohio and Florida, which I would not have predicted, but that's the case. And I think it has to do with a lot of reasons, but most of which I think revolves around people being reminded that at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton seems untrustworthy, whether that's right or not.
Well, let's go a little deeper in that. Why, besides the untrustworthiness factor out there were some other current events that took place over the last week that did not help her numbers at all. Do you think that the illness, do you think that Trump doing okay with himself and not stepping on it as much as he has in the past, do you think those are the things that contributed to this change?
Well, I think part of it is if you look at the New York Times CBS poll that just came out, it was 44-42, 46-44, 42-42, depending on whether it's likely or unlikely voters. The key factor in that point is that she has a very strong lead with women, and I think in this election in 2014, you're going to see a lot more women vote than in 2016 than you did in 2012. The most interesting factor in that debate, and where she's not consolidated, is that 26% of the people 18 to 29 said they were going to vote for Johnson, the Libertarian. So I don't think that Hillary Clinton has consolidated the Bernie Sanders vote. I think that is a drag in her poll numbers. That's going to be an assignment she's got to do for the next 8 weeks.
Yeah. Is he topped out, though? Has he hit his limit?
No, I don't think so. And Skip hit on a very important point. It was odd, and it varies by state, but the ones that I looked at, when you added Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate, in there, it actually hurt Hillary more than it hurt Trump. And that's odd considering that he's a Libertarian. But to Skip's point, Hillary has more of a problem than Trump has in consolidating that base, and for whatever reason, that means the third party is eating into her more than him, and that's why you see him up in some key battleground states. He has to do a lot better, and I don't know that he has that in him. He seems to always mess up. He can find the silver lining on any cloud, and he's done that over and over again, and he might continue. And if so, Hillary will survive, but it's despite herself.
All right, we got about 30 seconds before our commercial break here. What are your key swing states right now?
Well, I think the key swing state are the two that I think are Hillary's firewalls are Pennsylvania and Virginia. I think Colorado is moving in her direction. I think in the end she'll carry Florida. I think Ohio is a real toss-up, but I think she's holding in Pennsylvania. Obama went to Philadelphia. He won Philadelphia in the area by over 490,000 votes. If that turnout wins again, he wins.
Actually, I've taken Virginia off the list. I think it's solidly in her camp there.
Well, I think it's still a battleground because again, you're down to single digits in the polls. But I think she wins too. And I think she wins Pennsylvania and she wins Virginia. She wins the presidency.
All right. What are your swing states?
Anywhere there's a Senate race, so that means Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, Wisconsin, Colorado, Nevada.
Yeah.
Those are the main ones. And interestingly, right now Trump is not really hurting in hardly any of those. Wisconsin might be the anomaly.
Arizona out there, McCain. He's out there.
I think my boy McCain will be fine.
Right. We got to take a quick.
I agree with that one.
We got to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk some more politics with Skip Rutherford and John Burris. Stick around. And welcome back. We're talking politics with John Burris and Skip Rutherford. We're going to turn our attention now, just pull from the headlines, things that have been happening over the last couple of days. I'm going to let you guys ask questions of the panel. So I'm handing over my moderator duties to you, John Burris, first.
Okay. Picking up, I guess, where we left off, it's the easy question. It was the biggest headline. Skip's an honest guy, and people know that. Are you really going to sit here and just say that it was pneumonia? I think everyone who's willing to just step back feels like it was more, even if it's not a bad thing. But do you really think it was pneumonia and that's the only thing going on?
Yeah, I think it was pneumonia. I think on Friday night what she should have done after the diagnosis on Friday is that they should have announced that she had pneumonia. And they probably should not have gone to that 9/11 event. But I think when you see that 1 million people in America have pneumonia, it's not an uncommon thing. People do faint. People do have blood pressure changes with pneumonia. It can be serious. Hers, luckily, is not. But yeah, I think it was pneumonia.
I'm inclined to believe him if the doctor says it was pneumonia. I'm going to say it was pneumonia. I have to
I think
believe
she should have
Trump's
announced it
doctor
on
as to
Friday
whatever
night.
he says Trump's
I think
affliction may or
they
may not
made a
be.
mistake.
So, what do you think it was?
Well, I just feel bad for the girl she hugged, right? 2 hours later.
I think it was not contagious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
I just think it all goes to the point of, even if it probably wasn't, I feel like there's more there, and I haven't believed that for a year, and it sounds like a conspiracy, but
Sounds
I think
just
most
like a
I
conspiracy.
think most people watch that and think, and it plays into the stereotype that people have of the Clintons, and I think that's a big part of why Trump is now seeing a little bit of momentum.
all right.
Well, I think you're right. I think they made a mistake by not coming out there on the front end and saying, announcing that you've got pneumonia. People get pneumonia. I mean, that is not uncommon. People ought to get pneumonia shots, by the way. I'll get flu shots too. But so I think they made a mistake on that one, and I think they paid the price for that.
I'm not hugging either one of you guys, and I'm getting a flu shot when the show is over right here. So, Skip, you get to take the next question. Topic.
Yeah, the Manchester Union leader in New Hampshire, for the first time in 100 years, did not endorse a Republican for president, and basically said that Donald Trump changes positions about as much as he changes wives. So,
I think that's an understatement.
I think the real question is, are the Republicans going to consolidate behind Donald Trump?
I'll take it first if you want.
Okay.
I don't think they will. I think there's just still too much disunity among the Republicans. I was watching a CNN special earlier this week where it was Almost President was the name of it. It was all of the runners-up. It was McCain, it was Mondale, it was Al Gore, several others.
Almost.
And almost president. So they were all talking about, it kind of recapped some of those election cycles. Mitt Romney was another one. They had the base behind them and they still lost.
Yeah.
And in a lot of instances where somebody didn't win, they didn't necessarily have the base behind them, and I'm not convinced of that.
Well, I think that's what's so interesting about Trump, right? I mean, to such an extent, people like me, conservative, typical voters, have such low expectations from him and have been so disenchanted for so long that if he has a solid month and he actually pulls it within a little bit of striking distance, I think it's going to be hard for people like me who've been consistently critical to say, to maintain that position when he seems to be in striking distance. If he does just one or two things right, it gets a lot harder to maintain the position.
I would give you this counter argument here, because I think if you look in the polling numbers there, he is not coming up in the polls. She is coming down in the polls. That's what's making it more competitive. So it seems to me that if she has a good week, her numbers are going to go back up. I think that he has got a cap that he's going to get to, and I'm not sure he can break through
But I think
a particular
Let me tell you
ceiling.
what we're all missing. We're all missing what's going to happen in about 10 days, and that is this debate, the first debate, where up to 100 million people may watch this. That's a lot more than voted in both Republican and Democratic primaries. That's why I think this election is still fluid, because he's going to go into that debate with low expectations. She's going to go into that debate with high expectations.
And if she
It's the
coughs
defining
or
moment, so.
stutters, the whole world's going to end.
All right, I'm getting a wrap-up sign here, but I hear your point there. All right, we're going to take a little bit more of this online, so you guys stick around and we're going to wrap up the show. That's all for this week's Talk Business and Politics. We'll see you next time.